multi-cart is a cartridge where several individual titles have been bundled together into one release, usually utilising advances in chip storage capacity. I guess these were an inevitable development in game marketing, as they can turn existing intellectual property into capital in one easy step. And so effective was the X games in one line that it became an almost stereotypical part of game packaging, even on games that weren't technically multi-carts. The game I've drawn out this time came on a multi-cart from Xonox, however you're meant to say that, but there's something a little different about this one.
Now this is a multi-cart in every sense of the word. I mean, look at it. It literally is multiple carts fixed together. It's just so uncontrived that I can't help but admire it. And you could take any two Atari games and a roll of masking tape and make pretty much the same thing yourself. The only problem with it is that it kind of looks a little silly, though in this case that's easily overshadowed by the title of this game. Chuck Norris Superkicks.
Of course, we've all heard of Chuck Norris, the man, the myth, the mullet. But it's easy to forget that before he was a kitsch internet meme, he was a legitimate action movie star. Well, as legitimate as those get. So the idea of an 80s video game cashing in on his celebrity is actually quite reasonable. But it's still a little funny. And it just gets funnier when you look at the plot of this game. You, Chuck Norris, just to remind you, are in an Oriental land, and you are trying to save a famous leader.
Wow, what unspecific motivation. I'm in.
So we begin our quest in Oriental land, where there's two types of terrain, path and grass. On these screens you've got to keep moving up until you find some bad guys to punch, and it's vitally important that you stay on the path. See, there's a ticking clock on the top of your screen, and getting stuck in the grass takes up some time. A lot of time. Pretty much all of your time. So on these screens, it's less of an action game and more of a threading the needle game, and it's as frustrating as that sounds. If just one pixel of Chuck Norris touches the grass, one bloody pixel, your time starts to plummet. And worse, the game literally makes you stuck, leaving you to wrestle with your joystick to inch out of the grass pixel by pixel. This makes absolutely no sense to me. I mean, have you ever seen someone walking into grass and struggling their way to get out? Not to mention that you're meant to be Chuck Norris, the baddest ass in show business. I mean, I can understand the time penalty, but to make you get stuck as well just makes what could have been a nice overworld screen an exercise in frustration. Once you encounter some bad guys, the game switches to the kind of thing you expect from the title. Now, the way I judge fighting game mechanics is on how much I improve as I play it. If I can feel myself getting better at it as I play, I feel it's a proper combat system and not just a button masher. And this game passes that test. Sure, the controls are a little stiff, and all you can do is block, kick and run away. But on this level of technology, and with only one button to play with, you can't expect much better. As you progress on your quest, the attacks your enemies can do will change, and strangely enough, so do yours. On the second screen you can punch instead of kick, and on the third you can do the somersault super kick. And yes, that's as awesome as it sounds. All in all, this game has been holding up pretty well, but there's a catch. You knew there had to be. You may have noticed on the path screen that you can choose between several different paths. Now these all lead the same way, but all bar one of them will be blocked by a tree, and you can only find out if it's a blocked path after you fight a set of enemies. So if you come across a tree, you have to go back, fight another set of enemies, and hope that this time the path won't be blocked. All while that clock is ticking, and trying to cut across through that deadly grass just costs even more time. Now at first, I just thought this meant that I'd have to play through the game several times and remember where all the trees were. But no, the right path is determined completely randomly, and all the advice you get from the game developers is to use your intuition. Thanks.
Now this makes me just a little angry. To have your progress stopped by arbitrary randomness? How fair is that? Basically, it's this and the grass thing that ruin what could have been a really good game. I mean, the presentation is accomplished,
The combat system works well, the ticking clock adds tension,
and just having an end goal that isn't get the highest score makes it a very rare breed on the Atari 2600. It's a game that could have been top dog, but ends up being entirely expendable.